Rugby Championship is getting a fantasy competition for 2025, folks, an official licensed version of the fantasy comp. There's been various other comps around the traps on the internet which do fantasy competitions, but the official Rugby Championship one is kicking off for 2025. It seems to be run by the same people who reintroduced Super Rugby Fantasy in this year's competition. I can see they have already ironed out one of the issues that Super Rugby Fantasy had, which was the budget. You could basically pick whoever you wanted in the Super Rugby's game and still have money to spare. They've tightened up the budget for this one, so it seems to be a little bit refined, but we'll go through how it works, who the most valuable players are, and what kind of team I think you should pick if you want to be successful at this competition. Take that for what it's worth, because I didn't win any prizes in the Super Rugby comp, but there are going to be prizes for this official comp. I think it's $5,000 US for the winner, and there's weekly prizes and second and third place prizes and whatnot as well. So certainly well worth signing up if you like a bit of fantasy, and it gets you, I feel like, just slightly more invested in the game. Like, you might not always watch every single game, but if you're playing rugby fantasy and you want to see how your players are going to do, it does have that little bit of investment factor. So I, for one, am happy they have got this off the ground. If you played Super Rugby Fantasy like I mentioned this year, you will pretty much know exactly how this works. If you didn't, you pick 15 guys. All of the guys are categorized loosely into the position they play: prop, hooker, lock, loose forward, 9-10, midfield, and outside backs. So it's not so specific that it's like loose head prop, tight head prop, but they are loosely categorized into each. And you have to pick 3 players at least from each of the countries. So you can't just pick all Blacks. You can't pick all Springboks. You have to mix and match. The most you can pick from any one country is 6 players. So you are forced to kind of mix things up. And each of your players will score points based on their on-field performance. Do they make tackles? They will get points. Do they score tries? They will get points. If they miss kicks at goal, they will lose points, that kind of thing. There's a whole list of all the things that they can get and lose points for. But the most valuable players, they're all the attacking backs. Like Will Jordan and Cheslin Colby are both worth 10 million. You get an overall budget of 100 million to make your team. And like I said, they've refined it from Super Rugby's competition where the budget was virtually meaningless. It is a bit tighter this year. You will have to think about who you're going to pick, but fortunately you do have unlimited transfers. I personally prefer limited transfer games, but to keep it kind of simple, you can change your entire 15 week in, week out. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, Will Jordan, Cheslin Colby, these guys are worth 10 million. If you pick both of them, that's 20% of your budget gone, but props and locks and whatnot are cheaper. Tom Wright, the Aussie, he's their most expensive player at 8.5, and Thomas Albanaz, their 10. He's the Argentinian's most expensive player at 8. So all attacking backs are your most expensive players. Artie Savia is the most expensive forward. He's at 8.5, and he's the most selected player thus far. He's been selected by 70% of players. So if you pick Artie Savia, you're probably not getting ahead of everyone else. You're just getting the same points as 70% of the other users because he is just so well selected. So what kind of team should you pick? You should definitely pick an attacking-minded team, because the way the game works, it is just, and it proved to be the case in the Super Rugby game, there's just way more points on offer for guys who attack lots. Like, try scoring is the number one points getter. That's the reason guys like Colby and Will Jordan are right up there in terms of how much they are worth in terms of the budget. Like, try assists are also worth a lot. Line breaks are worth a lot. A tackle is only worth 1 point. So picking a guy who's like going to make 20 tackles a game, it's not really going to be a real kind of major points getter. Defensive stats that you're more likely to look at are things like guys who win turnovers. You know, maybe guys like Malcolm Marx. He'll be pretty good because he wins turnovers. Like maybe Duplessis Karefi, if he's going to start, would be a good guy because he's going to win turnovers. Tackles themselves are probably not really worth a lot. Like tries, 15 points. Line breaks, 7 points. Defenders beaten, 2 points. Even offloads are worth 2 points. So guys like Colby, Malia from Argentina, you know, Will Jordan, like I mentioned, Kurtley Aronsa, all these guys. I mean, Marx gets a bunch of tries from the maul, so he would also be probably a pretty good guy to pick. But you definitely want to pick guys who are attacking minded, because the way the game is set up, it just really rewards a lot more of that. Guys who are good on line-out defense, like maybe a Tupavai, could also be worth a fair shout, because line-out steals are worth 5 points. Are there any really good value picks? There's a few. If you filter it by like cheapest players, like Taniela Tupou only costs 3.5, which for a guy who can be a devastating ball carrier is not bad. It's like literally the cheapest player. 3.5. Also Tom Hooper. It's a couple of Aussies, but Tom Hooper was man of the match in that final Lions test. He's only worth 3.5, and he's also listed as a lock, which can be one of those wee sneaky things that loose forwards often score more points than locks, because loose forwards are more likely to make carries, which means they're more likely to score tries and bust tackles and get line breaks and that kind of thing. And the game is geared to attack. So a guy who is listed as a lock but plays loose forward like Tom Hooper often does, can be kind of useful. The game also does have boosts that you can use throughout the season. There's one boost for triple captain's points, there's one boost for unlimited budget for 1 week, and there's one boost for having 2 captains in a week. So you've only got 6 rounds of gameplay to use those, so you certainly want to use them if you are going to play it. But yeah, overall, like I said, it looks like basically just Super Rugby's fantasy competition applied to the Rugby Championship. As I said, based on the Super Rugby experience, attack is the way to score more points. They have constrained the budget a little bit more for this competition, which is pleasing, because for Super Rugby you could just pick whoever you wanted and still have money left over. You are going to have to budget a little bit for this one. It's not so in-depth that players are limited in terms of the number of transfers you can make. It's not so in-depth that like the players' values will change throughout the season. So if you get a cheap guy early and he scores a bunch of tries, he's not going to suddenly become more expensive. It's not quite that in-depth, but it is certainly a good way to get you engaged into the competition. If you just want that kind of extra bit of motivation while you're watching the games, to see how your players are going to do. It's always gutting when you pick the player, made him your captain, and he goes off after 2 minutes with an injury. Nothing much you can do about it. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. Join the pool if you want to join in. There is one down in the description for the 2 cents pool for the Rugby Championship. But yeah, let us know who your tips are in terms of who you might be picking. And yeah, we look forward to the Rugby Championship this weekend. You guys take care and subscribe to the channel. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.